Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Everyday Kingdom Living with Pernethia. And this is one of my favorite topics to talk about: financial freedom, talk about wealth building, and not from a perspective of a woman who loves money. I like to talk about it because God gave us the opportunity to build wealth. He gave us what we need to build wealth. And as a single mom, it's important to be a good steward over your money and to leave a legacy for your children. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today's topic is financial freedom for single moms, a quick guide to wealth building. So I want you to join me for this because we know that money is a tool for kingdom impact, and I want to talk strategy with you. All right, welcome back. So remember, I said money is a tool for kingdom impact. And as a single mom, you can build wealth no matter what the budget is. Don't talk to me about the fact that you don't make enough money. I don't even want to begin to tell y'all how much money I used to make. Matter of fact, I am. I was bringing in about $1,500 to $2,000. Now, God has increased since then, but that's where I started. And I still managed to build and leave a legacy for my children. I knew life insurance was important. We're going to talk about that today. So I knew life insurance was important. I knew having multiple savings accounts were important. I knew getting out of debt was important because if I relinquish some debt, I'd be able to take care of actual things that me and my children wanted to do. And in the midst of God increased it so much so that I was able to plan a trip for my children and we were able to do things that we needed to do. And even when it looked like my money was starting to act funny, God showed up because he knew I was stewarding it well. He just knew, dang, this hiccup came up from somewhere. Let me help my daughter real quick. And I had people come into my life to help me. But we're going to talk strategy today because as a single mom, you can build wealth and leave that legacy for your children, even if you're starting small, because when you're faithful over your finances, that's going to open doors for you. So let's go ahead and talk some strategy. So I want you to get your pencil, get your pen, because this is important. The first thing we want to talk about is being a good steward. Over here, y'all see, I put it up there on the background. I want you to be a good steward. You got to steward well over what you have. Okay, I'm not gonna get too amped up right off the bat but I told y'all this excites me. I got a master's degree in finance. I love working with taxes. I love looking at the new tax laws. I love helping people just build wealth and grow wealth and build legacy for their families and their children because where God is taking me, I need to know these things, not just for myself, but for my children, so my children can do well in this. And then I want to be a kingdom wife that helps a kingdom husband because the kingdom husband I see, the kingdom husband that God has shown me, he's already preparing. He already got the money laid out. I want to be able to be a good steward with him. I want to be able to take us to where we can elevate. I can't do that without being educated myself. So that's number one. We got to be good stewards. And a part of being a good steward is being educated on what we need to do. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to teach you real quick. This is quick. So like I said, grab your pencil, grab your pen, and let's talk about it. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9 and 10, it says, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled and overflowing. Now, I told y'all in past videos about the overflowing dream that I had. This lady had a whole bunch of cups in her hand, and she was trying to hand us cups, but they kept overflowing. And then at the same time, the young lady said, "Oh, I think they're coming." So everybody froze. And then the girl said out of her mind, "I think she's being promoted." And they were talking about me. So not only was I receiving an overflow, but God was also promoting me in that time frame too. Now, since that dream, He's shown me more in just a week's time of what exactly that dream meant for me. But I'm here to tell you today that God wants to overflow your cup too. God wants to take you and promote you too. And sometimes that overflow comes from a promotion on a job. Sometimes that overflow comes from you being promoted spiritually, where God is showing you all the creativity that you have, though He can use it. He wants you to include everything that He's given you so that you can be a good steward over what you have. So, practical point number one in this: one, financial breakthrough starts with good stewardship. And you don't need a six-figure income to do that. And I'm just going to share with you some of the things that I do when I am conducting myself and being a good steward with my finances. So the first thing I try to do is live within my means. That means I'm not going out here doing crazy things with my money. So I want you to write that down. Live within your means because the goal is to budget wisely and then prioritize your needs over your wants. So that means you're not going out here getting your nails done all the time. You're not going out here getting your hair done all the time. You're not going out here buying a new outfit. Just want to look good for this date. Yeah, you can look good for this date. I'm gonna take it back. Just a little bit of it. I'm gonna take it back. You might want to look good for this date, but if that is not who you are, if that's not the space you're walking in all the time, and you've spent your last to do it, that's not living within your means. You're living to please the eye of somebody when that person who's trying to be with you, who's interested in you, should be looking at your spirit. The second practical step I want to give you is to pay off your debts with a strategy. It's a strategy to paying off your debts. Now, there's methods you can use. There's a snowball method, which I love and prefer. And then there's the avalanche method. I'm going to quickly tell you about both of them. So, the snowball method is when you take your smallest debt, regardless of interest, and you pay that off first. So, if you got a debt that's only $10, it's like a little medical bill, the insurance took care of the rest, and now you got $10 left to pay. That'll be your smallest bill. You pay that one first. And then you take that $10, because $10 is still pretty feasible today. You take that $10. Yeah, y'all see my glasses up high like this? That's so y'all don't catch that glare. So excuse it. I know I look a little crazy, but so y'all don't catch that glare. I'm working on it, y'all. Just work with me. So you take that $10 that you paid off that bill with, that medical bill, and you take that $10 and you put it with the minimal amount that you're paying on the next bill. So let's say your next bill is like a Victoria's Secret credit card bill. It's $100. So you take the Victoria's Secret credit card bill, they tell you that you only got to pay $25 a month. Of course, in 4 months, it's paid off if you only do the $25 minimum payment. But instead, you're going to take that $10 from the bill you just paid off and put it with the $25 minimum payment. And now you have $35 to pay towards this bill. And you're going to pay that $35 towards that bill until that $100 is clear. So instead of taking 4 payments to pay it, you're going to take roughly 3 1/4 of a payment of $35 to pay off that $100, because 3 times 30 is 90. So you add a little extra $5 to it and you can pay it off much quicker. And then I'm gonna go up one higher. So you take that $35 that you put together from the $10 debt and the $25 minimum payment, put that $35 together, and then you got another bill that might be $1,000. Maybe it's for a medical bill that was a bit bigger. So now you got $1,000. And on that medical bill to pay it down, they said, oh, we agree. You can pay $50 a month till it's paid off. And if you do $50 a month, it's going to take you a while to pay that off. I ain't about to do that math and make myself look crazy. I'm good at math, but I ain't about to do it right now. I'm tired. But God told me to put this out there. So you take that $10 from the first bill, that minimum payment. You take that $25 from the second bill's minimum payment, since that's paid off now. And now it becomes $35 extra with the $50 for that minimum payment. So now it becomes 85. And now you take that $85 and you start putting that towards that $1,000, and that amount starts to go down. And that's the snowball method. You continue to do that until all of your debts are paid. And the reason you do that, first off, because when you pay that $10 bill, you start feeling a little free. You start feeling a little free, like, oh, dust my shoulders off. One debt paid. I'm good. I'm good. This girl got it made. You start feeling real good. So then you put that $10 towards the next bill, and then you start getting bucked up. It's paid. My debt getting paid. I got it made. And then you start paying off that 1,000. You start feeling really good. And next thing, before you know it, you're debt free. And you could build that momentum by increasing your income and putting that extra income towards debt. But I have to do that in another video. But that's how you do that. The avalanche method, let me speed it up a little bit because I'm a respecter of time, and so is God. The avalanche method is the opposite way. So you take the largest debt, the debt that has the largest interest rate. So if you got a 24.99 interest rate on this credit card, you're going to take that debt and try to pay that one down first using that minimum payments and add a little extra to it. You pay that down, and then you start just trickling down till you get to the debts with the least interest payment. And then by the time, before you know it, just like with the snowball method, you've eliminated your financial burden. Okay, if you got questions about that, put them in the comment section. I will respond, I promise. All right, the next thing you want to do, write this one down, is have an emergency fund. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I can't speak on emergency funds enough, because we see it today. We see what people are going through right now, because they're living paycheck to paycheck and they're living beyond their means. We're seeing them struggling when they're not getting paid that income that they used to get paid because they got fired from their job. People are getting fired left and right. People can't find a job, yet there's supposedly so many available. Either way, you need to have an emergency fund. The emergency fund should have, write this down, 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. What does that mean, Pernethyia? What does that mean? 3 to 6 months of expenses. That means when you look at your budget, because we created a budget, we learned to create a budget. When you create your budget and you put your income at the top, and your income, say, is $5,000 a month, and then you look at your expenses, and your expenses add up to being about $3,000 a month, leaving you with two. I'm doing basic math here. The $3,000 a month that you spend on all your expenses, that means your rent, your mortgage payment, your electricity, gas, whatever it is that you're spending money out on, including your debts, you're spending money out on those things in that expense category, that $3,000 should be saved times three or six. And that is put in a bank account that is tangible for you. Now, you can put it in a high yield savings account, HYS. You can put it in there because it's going to start gaining money while it's sitting, but you're using it as you go along. You can put in a high yield savings account because eventually I can see you not having to really mess with that. But you put that money in that emergency fund so it's easily accessible. And if you see, your situation is changing, like your debts are decreasing, so now you don't have to put as much towards debt anymore, then that money gets left in that high yield savings account. It's a little small strategy, but that money gets left there because you don't need it anymore towards your debts. And now it's increasing a little bit each month, or a little bit by the end of the year. So it has that emergency fund set aside because that 3,000, when you multiply 3,000 times three, that's 9,000. So you need to have 9,000 in that bank account. When you multiply that 3,000 times six, you need to have 18,000 in that bank account. Now it might be a lot because, like I said, this is a single mom's guide. That means some of us might not be making that much money to be able to set that aside. But the goal is to just do it. Take a step forward and do it. Separate those bank accounts. Let's bring it to my next one that you need to write down. Use multiple bank accounts. Separate those bank accounts by titles and headers. Have a checking account for your income to come into. Have a checking account that you're going to use to pay bills from. Having a checking account that you're going to use to have different means come out of that. Maybe your debts can get paid from just this checking account. And that way now you got two checking accounts and you know exactly where they're going. And if you got a business, please, oh, please, oh, please open up a separate checking account for your business. Please. That's a whole nother video for another day. Just trust me. If you are allowing your income from your business to come directly into your personal, separate it because it means so much when you're able to get approved and apply for different things and you got the proof right there showing your income and then you show yourself getting paid. That means everything. Please do that. Please do that. Please. I can't say it enough. All right. Anyway, so you want to have multiple bank accounts. You want to have a bank account for bills, for saving, for investing, for your debt payments. You want to stay organized, and that's how you become a good steward. All right. Point number 2, we're building for legacy. We're building for legacy. Legacy. Let me get my finger pointing in the right direction. Yep, legacy. Okay, legacy. We're building for legacy, not just survival. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. So you're not leaving just an inheritance for you. You're about to leave up out of here. You're not leaving an inheritance for just for your children. They're not going to be here long either. You're leaving it for your children's children. Generational wealth starts small. It starts with the intentions that I'm about to do something today that is going to change the lives and the trajectory of my children. And leaving a legacy and building generational wealth is not just about making money, it's about managing it, it's about multiplying. So when you got to manage that money, that means you're learning how to deal with it and you got to put stuff in place so your children know how to deal with it. Because when you leave up out of here, you want your children to know how to deal with your money. Now I've read and I've learned that you can take your money and your things that you own for yourself, the things that you're using, your assets, and put them in a trust. Second thing is not just about managing, but multiplying it. So when we get something small and then something gets added onto it, that extra that we really don't need, that we go shopping with, like that refund check that we really don't necessarily should receive, you shouldn't be receiving a huge refund check because then that means something's off balance when they're doing your deduction. Go check that out. Go talk to human resources and look into that. Now, your refund check can come from some other deductions and tax breaks that you can get for having your children and things like that, different situations, being an entrepreneur. Yeah, then you might end up with a refund check. But just take a look at that. That's a story for another day. But take a look at that and make sure that that's going right for you. But multiplying it means that when you get your income and then your side hustle's bringing something in, that money should be used to fund your wealth. So if that means getting out of debt, y'all don't think debt is a way to build wealth. Some people use debt to build wealth, but that ain't what we're talking about because I don't like debt. I don't want to use my debt to build wealth. God said because debt can take, it can still be taken from you because you owe somebody somewhere something. So instead, I'm going to take my debt and use it the way that God said eliminate it because I want you to be the lender, not the borrower. So I'm not going to borrow. I'm not going to borrow. I'm going to cancel my debt because debt canceling your debt, getting your debt done, over with, gone, disappear in a bubble, lock it up, throw away the key. When the debt is gone, now you take that money that you were putting towards that debt, because remember, we were putting $10 towards our debt, we were putting $35 towards our debt, then we put $50 in it. The bills get higher, you're putting that amount towards your debt. And the quicker you finish paying off those debts, you got a whole pocket full of money that you can put towards some other area of your life and allocate that towards building wealth. Now, how do we do that, Pranithia? First thing, the building and leaving a legacy behind and building generational wealth is by getting a life insurance policy. They had this young guy he interviewed. They both were young, like in their late 20s. And the black guy was interviewing the white guy and asked the white guy, well, what would you tell black people? What's like one of these things that you would, a piece of advice that you would give black people to see their lives possibly change the trajectory of their lives? I'm sorry for stuttering, but my words going faster than my mouth. So he said, well, I would tell them to get life insurance policies. He said a lot of the things that are happening to black people would end because the life insurance companies would have to pay out each time. They would have to pay out each time, and the life insurance companies will say, we don't want to keep putting the almighty dollar out for this race of people. They will fight for us. Now, will in the future the possibility of laws and things changing where that might not apply? Sure. But today it applies. That means if every black person, it's only 14.4% of us here, between 14.4% to 16% that identify as black people. And I think you can find that on pewmoney.com or pewinvestors.com. I'm going to put this in the chat box or in a comment section. But when you go and you start looking into these resources and you start saying, okay, if I get a life insurance policy and I start with $5,000, $10,000, I want y'all to get so close in your life insurance policies that you're able to afford to pay for $1 million. They got companies out here that will work with you and they will charge you roughly $50 to pay on a monthly basis for a life insurance policy that when you pass away, when you pass up out of here, your family's instant millionaires. Now, the next thing, that in order to maintain that, though, in order to maintain that, you got to teach your children, which is where we go back to teaching our children about how to manage their money. Because if we show them early on how to manage their money, they're going to be good stewards too. And then we can trust that when we leave up out of here, we leave this $1 million behind or more, that they're going to know what to do with it. So get that life insurance policy, because this ensures that if something happened to you, your kids are okay. And the life insurance policy, the rule to knowing how much to get, because you're saying, well, Pranithia, you said I can get 5,000. Yes, that's a start. And I'm talking to the single mamas who just got the bare minimum of money right now. You at the lowest. You working your way back up. Get that small policy. Pay that small amount, because something right now is better than nothing. It might not be enough to help get your kids ahead, but it is enough to take care of some final expenses. But the rule to life insurance is to tally up everything that you pay right now. Because if you were to pass away right now, how much would you need for that to be taken care of? So if you own a home and your home, you still owe 130,000 on it, and you have a car and you still owe 7,000 on it, and you have debts and they total up to be $150,000, then you know that your life insurance policy needs to be well over that amount. Tally all those numbers up, and whatever that amount is, you want to get your life insurance policy to cover that and then some, because you also want to leave some behind for your children to build wealth from. So take that $250,000, and if you got yourself $1 million life insurance policy, then once your kids pay off that $250,000, now they're left with something to build wealth from. Now they're left with almost $700,000. You see what I'm saying? All right, the next thing to building this legacy is to open a 529 plan for your kids. You want to do this because you start investing for their future with tax advantage savings. So right now, with Donald Trump being in office, he put in his agenda that he wants to, if you already have money in a 529 plan, and I have one for my daughters, well, my oldest daughter, I got to open one for my youngest. But if you have a 529 plan for your children, you can borrow money from that all the way up through their college years, and you won't have to pay taxes on it. So open a 529 plan. And you're asking what it is. A 529 plan is a jumpstart way to save for your children's education, but now you can use it for any form of education with Donald Trump changing that law around. I don't know if it's got approved. I don't know the status of that situation, but I know when you have a 529 plan, it's going to invest into stocks and mutual funds for you on your behalf, and you just constantly keep putting money in it regularly, and it'll invest that money out, and she's able to use that to pay for college. Okay. So the next one, write this one down, is save for retirement. Now, a lot of us are working jobs where we are putting into retirement, we're paying into it. Another way to see an increase in that is by if your employer has a match, a retirement match. That means that your employer will say, if you put in 1,000, I'm going to put in 1,000 for the year. Some of us have like a amount that we can't go over when we're putting in, and when you're doing your taxes, they kind of tell you the amount that you're capped off at for the year of investing. But if your employer has a match, then you want to take advantage of that match, because if you start going gung ho about, I'm about to put this much in there, and you still got to go seek within your human resources to see if it's a cap on that too. And, there's the logistics behind this whole thing. But employee matches is another way to just get that kind of free money, because you're putting in 1,000, but your company puts in 1,000, and now you get 2,000. You see what I'm saying? Quick way to grow your money. So whether you're doing a 401k, or IRA, a Roth IRA, either way, you're prioritizing long-term security. The next thing, and I said this before, but the next thing you want to do is teach your kids about money. Write that down. Teach your kids about money. Open them a bank account. As soon as they get old enough to understand how to count, open them a bank account. Open a checking and a savings, because you want to teach them how to save their money, not just in a box, in their bedroom, under the bed, or, in a closet, or in a purse. You want them to be good stewards over it. So you open them a checking and a savings account. You also are showing them how to manage their money early. So when they get their first job, or they become an entrepreneur and they get their first set of income, they know already what to do with this. My oldest daughter, she does all kind of different things creatively. And when the money comes in, she knows my mom going to immediately tell me I need to put some aside for savings. I need to sow some in church, and then determine what I need to pay off, if I got anything to pay off. And then I decide what I can spend. So I show her how to save. I show her how to pay her tithes, and then I show her how to allocate her spending. We're teaching them these skills because they are also going to learn the value of stewardship. Why? Because if we're leaving a legacy, they got to know how to steward our big dollars that we leave behind, right? We don't want them squandering our money. And I know y'all know them stories. If you wasn't a part of it yourself, when grandmama and grandpapa died, big mama and big papa, they passed away, and they left all this stuff behind. And now we got to figure out how and who going to get what at the funeral. Don't let that be you. They got so many ways to prevent that from happening. Don't let that be you. Get you a trust if you're in position to do so, right? Get you a will. Wills are free. Go get something notarized if you can't go do that. But use the resources we got in front of us. Chat GPT will create you a will, a trust, whatever you need it to create, and then it'll instruct you to go seek, the financial assistance that you need. It'll go tell you to go talk to a financial planner or financial manager or an attorney, so that you can get further direction on what to do. But if that's all you got the money to do is use the free resources, use them. They're out here. They even got single mama financial programs, which is what I want to create in the future. But they have these programs out here that will guide you to get the financial wisdom that you need to start doing things like this, like leaving legacies behind for your kids and getting out of debt and building something as simple as a budget. Budgeting is not simple for everybody. Some people freak out when they hear the word budget or life insurance, because that means we're talking about the thing that they don't want to talk about not being here no more. But we got to talk about it, y'all. Tomorrow's not promised. And the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to these legacy building steps is to diversify your income and investments. So one, we in this generation, if you're under 40, and people over 50 get it too, but if you're under 40, we know that the funds that they have promised us, the retirement funds in our businesses, social security income, it's not going to be there when we get older. So we have learned to start having multiple income streams. We have started to learn how to use our creativity, our God-given talents, the wisdom that God has given us, and we have learned to use that to just maximize the dollar. We start making PDFs. We start doing YouTube. We start going on TikTok. We start creating shops. We start creating products. We have learned how to take nothing and make it into something. And then God takes that something and then he turns it into an overflow. Thank you, Lord, for that. So we create multiple income streams. That means side hustles. We have learned how to take mutual funds. And if we invest in the right dividend stocks, we receive a dividend for them. Some people have learned, they did this early enough to where now they can function and live off of the dividend that their stocks return to them, that their mutual funds return to them. And that's a whole chapter for another day. We've learned to invest in real estate, starting with single family homes, multi-unit properties, owning streets. I came across this story. I don't know if it was true or not, but this guy, he went to an auction, a property auction, and he thought he was just buying a blank piece of land, a big, beautiful blank piece of land. But when he got to the property, he found out that it was pretty much a small neighborhood. It had a roundabout street, had houses on all sides, big and small, and they're trying to take it away from him. I don't know how true the story is, but they're trying to take it away from him. But he's fighting to keep it. He bought it fair and square, earned it fair and square, and that's just something that happens. God knew that he was in position to receive something like that. But all in all, when you diversify your income and your investments, you're building financial security for yourself. Now, will all this change? Yes. Will I keep you up to date on these changes? Yes. Because I need to know these changes, and everything that I find out, I promise you, I'm going to share them with you. God has finally put me in a place where I can share my knowledge with you and share it in a time sensitive fashion so that we can all be up to date on what's going on, because things are changing literally every single day. So my final words, because y'all know I like to encourage y'all, I like to give y'all something to do, some type of action to take, is knowing that wealth building is actually possible no matter the amount of money, even if you're a single mom. Because it's not about how much money you make, it's about how you manage what God is giving you. So I want you to start small. I want you to stay consistent. I want you to trust God to increase what you're stewarding well. And I want you to put in the comment section, what financial goals are you working on right now? What financial goals are you going to establish for yourself? Is it creating a budget? Is it trusting God with your finances? Is it creating a way to have overflow now by maybe doing a side hustle? Is it using your creativity to build wealth? Is it opening that 529 plan, or doing that employee match with your company that you work for? Either way, just put in the comment section what you're going to do and let me know what you learned from this today, because I love knowing that these videos of what God is telling me to share with you is helping somebody, because I know it's helping me. I told you I sweep around my own front door with these videos, and everything I learned, I'm going to share with you. So I encourage you to share this video with someone who needs it. I want you to like and subscribe. And for more tips on faith and finances, keep following Everyday Kingdom Living with Pernethyia. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.